Airline seats back in the hot seat. Ching. Two Democratic senators calling for the FAA to reassess whether the size of seats on planes are, in fact, too small in the event of an emergency. There's new legislation from Senators Tammy Duckworth and Tammy Baldwin urging the FAA to conduct more cabin tests with, quote, realistic conditions. CNN's Pete Muntean is joining us live. This isn't really about comfort so much as they say it's about safety, Pete?
Yeah, that's right, Erica. You know, more seats on board an airplane, the airline's got to make them smaller. But with more seats, it makes it harder for the airlines to evacuate a plane in the case of an emergency. I just spoke to Tammy Duckworth about this, and she says this is all about safety, even though the unintended outcome here could be a federal regulation that makes it so that airlines can't make seats any smaller. Here is the rub. Right now, the average seat size is about 31 inches on board a plane. It's called the pitch. That's the leg room from your seat essentially to your knee. It was about 35 inches back in 1960, but since that time, men are the example here. They've gained about 30 pounds on average, according to the CDC. They've gotten an inch taller. So the FAA looked at this back in 2019. They did a mock evacuation, and they figured by doing this, they only sampled people who were over 18, under 60, no kids, no car seats, no carry-on bags. So Duckworth says it is long overdue to redo this experiment, and this bill would do exactly that.
It is very much long overdue. The standard that the FAA is using was set in the 1960s, and the fact of the matter is air travel has changed a lot since the 60s. There are a lot of folks on board, for example, with carry-on luggage, because many people can't check their luggage anymore because there's additional fees. The FAA doesn't do these tests where they include carry-on luggage.
Of course, the airlines would really chafe at this. More seats on board a plane means they can charge less, although, of course, they would say that if there are fewer seats on board, that means that fares would go up, Erica.
I'm sure that is what we would hear. It's also interesting. So let's say this happens. When could we actually see any change? I mean, would they have to reconfigure all the planes that are already in operation?
You know, the regulatory change takes a lot of time here. The good news is that the FAA really answers to Congress here, and it's going through its reauthorization process. The FAA gets told by Congress essentially how much money they can spend from the federal government. And so Congress has a lot of power, and so they could force their hand here to cause them to put into place a regulation keeping it so that seats don't get any smaller, Erica.
Interesting stuff. We will definitely be watching. Pete, appreciate it as always. Thank you.